Kirk here.
Entering planet's outer atmosphere, sir.
Captain, what is it?
He's turned the engines off. Completely cold. It'll take 30 minutes to regenerate them.
Ship's outer skin is beginning to heat, Captain. Orbit plot shows we have about 8 minutes left.
Scotty, I can't change the laws of physics. I've got to have 30 minutes.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome one and all to the 4th episode of The Adventure Continues, a Star Trek discussion here on the Pacific 4 YouTube channel, the Rumble channel, and also over on X. I am your host, Mike, of course, and tonight I am being joined by the Smoking Patriot, who has chosen an episode I think for anyone who's never seen it, they're going to enjoy it because it involves a certain chief engineer of a certain Federation starship. And that chief engineer, as you saw, is Scotty. Now, with this episode, it does a couple of callbacks as far as dialogue is concerned to original series episodes, but it's probably one of the better episodes to feature an original cast member, because we had Mark Leonard come back as Leonard. Leonard Sarek. Come on, Mike. But you had Mark Leonard come back as Sarek, and it wasn't bad, but it was okay. In my opinion, it was okay. And then, of course, the very first of the original cast to ever appear on Next Generation was DeForest Kelly during Encounter at Farpoint. And, of course, you had Unification Part 1 and 2, where Leonard Nimoy... Excuse me. Sorry about that, folks. But Leonard Nimoy came back as Spock. Of course, at that very same time, you had Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country come out. Excuse me. Sorry about that, folks. But in this particular episode, we find James Doohan reprising his role as our beloved chief engineer, Scotty. And as is customary on The Adventure Continues, whenever I do have a guest on the show, I like to ask the guest to pick the episode they want to watch and discuss during the night. And joining me tonight is no stranger to the channel. He has his own channel called the Smoking... Excuse me. Called the Smoking Patriot. And he is with me right now. I just have to make sure he's ready to be beamed aboard the Federation Starship Pacific 4. Sorry. I think I need to go to sick bay. But I'm going to go ahead and let the transporter room know to beam him aboard. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Smoking Patriot. Welcome aboard.
Thanks for. Damn it. I'm actually sick, so I'm apparently I'm getting Pacific sick over the internet, which I don't know how is possible. Apparently.
Well, I did just use the transporter, and even though the transporter is supposed to filter out any, biological infections, apparently we've got a new problem with the transporter.
I thought we addressed that in season 3 of Picard.
What? but I appreciate you taking time out of your Saturday night to join me tonight to talk about this very special episode. And before we watch this episode, just go through some of your quick thoughts on the episode and why it's so special to you.
So I saw this episode. It was a rerun. It was sometime in the mid 2000s. I can't remember the exact year, but it was a rerun on Sci-Fi at the time. And Scotty was one of my favorite characters. Like Kirk, everyone loves Kirk. Bones, everyone loves Bones. It's after those two, and Spock. So you got, you get your trio, and after that, it kind of varies as to who your favorite. I always love Scotty because he's kind of the unsung hero. I mean, this is the man that literally, was able to fit two humpback whales into a bird of prey in a voyage home. So this guy is like he's the OG of the Wonder Crew, okay? And to see him come back in this episode, and I didn't know this, by the way, because I had just seen Generations like a week or two before, and I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to swear off Star Trek. Like Enterprise was still on, and I had just seen Generations, and I see Kirk die. Yes, by the way, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Generations by now, I don't know what's wrong with you. But I had seen Generations, and I was like so upset, and then Relics comes on, and I'm like, oh, this is okay. This looks interesting. And then all of a sudden, Scotty beams onto the ship, and I'm like, no way, Scotty! Like I was losing it. I was so happy. I've always loved Scotty's. Always got a special place, in my heart. It's Scotty. It's Scotty. I mean, this is the Wonder Maker. When you didn't even have replicators. Remember, Spock said in number 5, like like replicators were still in terms of for food and everything. It wasn't even as common. You still had full kitchens making food for everybody. And to see Scotty, literally the Wonder Maker, save the Enterprise over and over and over again, coming up with insane ways of getting systems back online that you thought were impossible, to see him back for one last hurrah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And the clip I included for the intro was from the Naked Time, and he's telling Kirk, I can't do a cold start of the engines in the short amount of time that we have. I need 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You've got to give me 30 minutes.
Yeah. Or like even in Wrath of Khan. Remember, only 2 hours had passed by, and some of the parts of the ship still weren't operating, but the ship was still technically combat ready with only 2 hours. Literally.
Yeah.
2 hours was all Scotty had when the ship was pretty much crippled beyond repair. 2 hours, the thing's ready for combat again. Not in a good state, but at least ready for combat. Only Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, in the search for Spock, he says, 2 trainees and a chimpanzee couldn't do anything to her.
I mean, look, the only other engineer out there ever that I will say that is probably equal to Scotty is B'Elanna Torres. And the only reason why I'm saying her is because she literally had to come up and invent new ways of saving Voyager over and over and over again.
Yep, especially with no Starbase, no help from Starfleet whatsoever.
Yep. So Torres, I give credit, but Scotty operated in a time where a lot of the technology that Torres had access to wasn't even invented yet, or if it wasn't even used in those manner for on an engineering side. So yeah, he's the OG engineer, and I will fight anybody on this. Literally, I'll go into the ring, even in my weakened state, I'll fight you.
Hey, you want to know something? Say what you will about Star Trek V. It's not the greatest movie. Let's face it, it's not the greatest movie. But Scotty does have a great moment when Kirk, Spock, and McCoy come aboard the Enterprise after their shore leave's cut short because they have to go to Nimbus 3. And as Kirk, Spock, and McCoy are entering the turbo lift, Scotty says, how many times do I have to tell you? The right tool for the right job.
I mean, it's the thing about Scotty also, there's a charm about him. There's a charm. You cannot help but love, Scotty. I mean, even in the most dire of situations, Scotty is always like, he's always there for you. He will always see you through to the end. It might not be pretty, but he'll get you there to the end.
Hmm. I mean, even when he's left in command, there's a time during the original series, there's an ambassador who's telling Scotty, I'm in command. And Scotty pretty much tells him, no, I'm in command. As long as I'm in command, the screens stay up.
Yeah. Well, and there was also that one episode with Scotty in the original series. Remember when they crashed on the planet, and there were those giant humanoid creatures, and they had to try and restore partial power to the shuttlecraft to
Hmm.
escape. And Scotty devised a way of literally transferring the power from literally hand phasers into the
I'm just gonna say that.
Yep. I mean, to me, that was oof.
And
Yeah.
that even pays off in a couple of episodes of Next Generation where they use the hand phasers to give the transporter just enough power to beam away. And all
Yeah.
right, so I do want to say hello to FKHC 2005, also known as
There are some who call me Tim.
good to see you, Tim.
He's got these huge fangs.
And yes, folks, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, it's on the list for the watch parties this year for Pop Talk. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and start this episode. And Patriot, don't worry about giving away any spoilers.
Okay.
So, what did you think of this opening scene here? Patriot? And hello to Cash. Good to see you, brother.
That always bothered me about this moment right here.
What bothered you about it?
Wait, what just happened?
Appreciate that, Cash. Thank you very much. And yes, the Dyson's theory is an actual theory, folks. That's true, Tim. He did only die 5 years ago. Very true. So now Riker, Geordi, and Worf are beaming over to the USS Janolan. Yeah, we don't have the capability of building something like a Dyson sphere. Patriot, can you still hear me? No, it's not feasible. Now, I do love the fact that when they're doing the rematerialization, you hear the original transporter sound effects. And of course, being that this was the fourth episode of the sixth season, I always thought that the sixth season was hit and miss. It had some good episodes and it had some okay episodes. I felt that Time Zero Part 2 fell a little short from Part 1. Now, that's going to be heartbreaking for Scotty. He knows that there's someone else still in the buffer, but unfortunately, if it's pattern degrading, he's got. There's no way to rematerialize him. Well, considering this had to have taken place sometime after, let's say, generations. Originally, I always thought it took place sometime after the Undiscovered Country. They all wore those monster maroon uniforms, the red uniforms that were more, traditional Navy looking. So I guess you could technically say Timmy was a red shirt, and I do like Scotty's reaction here, seeing Worf for the first time. For Scotty, it's just been a few moments since he went into the transporter, dematerialized and was in that pattern buffer. And at the time, there was still some tensions between the Klingons and the Federation. And I like how right away Scott is being introduced to the new technology.
There we go. Sorry, I was for some reason my iPad was having a hard time balancing both the stream link and the video
Mhm.
link at the same time. Like it was so glitchy, it was cutting in and out. So I'm doing one off my phone, one off the iPad.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I thought I lost you for some reason because, like I had told you, I had some thunderstorms in the area, so I thought maybe that interfered. And
no, I just dropped out on my iPad and just reopened it on my phone. So
it's good to see DJ Ronnie G. So, what do you like about this scene right here, Patriot?
this scene in particular,
Yeah.
I think it's the thing I like about this scene is is uh is I love seeing LaForge just try and grasp his to try and grasp how Scotty did what he did,
Hmm.
considering that the ship was 75 years old, and so this is like 75 years in the past worth of knowledge. It just tells you how creative he was with being able to take a problem and find a solution, however unorthodox. He
Hmm.
was able to find a way to keep himself alive, essentially.
Yeah. A little foreshadowing there by Jordy.
Yeah.
Yes, Tim, we will talk about Code of Honor. I don't think we'll hold back. And yes, yes, Tim, we will talk about Threshold.
What did I say? He's a charmer. He's a
Yeah, he
charmer.
is. True, true, DJ, true.
Nah, I was never a Tasha fan.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I liked Deanna, but
Oh, yeah, no, I was a Deanna fan, not a Tasha fan.
but then of course Deep Space Nine comes and you start liking Dax and Kira, and
Yeah, and that I was always Dax. Well, Dax's first host in the show. The second one, not as much.
yeah, and that's the thing. There was a period of time where James Doohan would try to hide his middle finger because of what happened to it during D-Day, which celebration of it was yesterday. But
Hmm.
then he got to a point where he's like, "I'm not going to hide it anymore."
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It was. Yeah. That was funny. He was. They would purposefully. They'd have hand models essentially, like when he'd be like in the original series, go drink a drink. It wouldn't be his hand. It would be somebody who positioned their hand in a certain way to make it look like it was his hand as he was taking a sip of something.
Hmm.
Yep. The thing I don't think they understand is that this is a man who has literally spent 75 years in a literal repeating transporter loop. Like the
Hmm.
man wants some human contact and be able to talk.
Yeah, he wants to know about the changes in these last 75 years.
Yeah, and share old war stories.
Hmm. It's like anybody who had served in World War II. They want to share their stories.
Mhm.
Yes, there are
Yeah.
some who don't want to talk about it, but there are those that do. They want to pass it to the next generation.
Yep.
No pun intended.
Maybe a little pun. Maybe a little.
Yeah. And of course, you see where I picked the scene for the thumbnail because I just thought it was appropriate.
Yep.
Two chief engineers of the Starship Enterprise.
Yep. I mean, if you think about it, Scotty was the engineer for the USS Enterprise, the USS Enterprise Refit, and the USS Enterprise A. Geordi was the chief engineer on the Enterprise D and E. So if you think
Hmm.
about it, they're the two longest serving engineers aboard an Enterprise.
Very true. And of course, at the time this episode aired, we didn't know that we'd see James Doohan in Generations yet.
That's true, yeah, because this came out, I think, before Generations.
This came out in '93.
And Generations was, what, 93 or 4?
That was '94.
That was 94, yeah. So, yeah, so, wow. Yeah, jeez.
The Naked Type, the clip that I had at the beginning of the stream, folks. This is the relevancy. One of the few times you actually see the dilithium chamber.
Yeah, it's true, yeah. I think the only other time you see any, like, inside a dilithium chamber is when they do that mock battle. You have that
Hmm.
one Constellation class, and they're doing, like, war game simulation. That's the only other time I think you see inside of a warp reactor.
Yeah, Wesley used his experiment on that other ship, and
Yeah. You gotta. You want to put.
now if you all stick around after we watch this episode, I will show a deleted scene over on the Cosby side. There's a follow up after that. It happens before Scotty gets to 10 forward here.
What is this? Sit the hall.
Sit the hall.
Yeah. Scotch. Neat. I.
And see, what's nice about this episode is you have Scotty interacting with all the cast members.
It's. This is not Scotch.
And it's definitely not a very, very old bottle of Scotch whiskey.
If I was ever serving on a Federation starship and you had like your private stuff that you take on with you, I'd actually keep real Scotch on me. Like I would never
Yeah.
go to 10 forward ever.
I would never get replicated. You know what that actually is in that bottle?
What, Kool-Aid?
It's high C ecto cooler. Yes. I was at a Star Trek convention before this episode
Oh.
aired, and they said, just look for the high C ecto cooler in the episode, because the episode was about to air.
Gotcha.
Now, probably one of the best scenes coming up. An intoxicated Scotty going to the holodeck, but that's not why it's one of the best scenes.
Yeah.
It's what the doors reveal.
Uh-huh.
But see, even though she wasn't on screen, this is interaction between Majel Barrett and James Doohan, two original series cast members.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I always forget about that. B, C, or
D.
D.
Now, I'm surprised that the computer didn't say that there was a refit of the original Enterprise.
Technically, the A is the refit, so I mean,
And the thing about the reconstruction, because Scotty's just walking into the holodeck, he's seeing the original Enterprise bridge, but they didn't even build the full bridge. They only built part of it.
yeah, I think it's that. Yeah. Essentially, it's just from the console. It's from the center console back. I think is all they built.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think they did build the whole thing.
Now, for In the Mirror Darkly, for Enterprise, they did build a full bridge.
Wait, but that's they probably cut it with other footage for the. Yeah, no, in the mirror darkly, you could definitely tell it's a recreation. You can definitely tell it's a recreation for that one. Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that they went to the effort to recreate part of the bridge here
I know, right?
shows dedication.
Well, but this is when they actually gave a crap about Star Trek, though. You know?
Yeah, and that was added so the audience could see Archer saying what the deck plating number was.
What do you think gave it to guy? There's just something so classic about seeing the original series bridge.
Hmm.
You know, even the recreation they did for Enterprise, they did it so well. It was just perfect. It was just there's a class about it you just don't get nowadays.
No, you don't. And even giving them credit for the partial bridge that they even built for the Trials and Tribulations episode of Deep Space Nine. They did actually rebuild the corridors of the original Enterprise for that episode.
Yeah, that one that one always makes me laugh. That episode, knowing that the Defiant is just cloaked, sitting right there, and I just find that I don't know. I love that episode because of that irony.
Mhm. It's a love letter to Star
Yeah.
Trek.
Oh yeah, I agree. You fall in love.
For a woman like that again.
Scotty's just gonna polish off that whole bottle.
Why not?
I know, right?
He's right. I
Yeah.
mean, how could he be expected to catch up on 75 years worth of technology?
Oh, and such massive leaps in technology, even.
Hmm.
Oh,
I would love to visit one of the recreations of the original series bridge just to sit in that chair.
I know because there was that recreation of that Vic Mignogna used for
Hmm.
his it's
Star
somewhere in
Trek
Georgia.
continues.
Yeah, it's somewhere in Georgia, I think. Because I remember because the guy I used to do like live streams with years ago, he actually went to it a couple of times. I forget where in Georgia though. I can't remember.
I can find out.
You insulted him. You are going to make this right.
Hmm. There's one on display in Santa Monica, California, and
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where in Georgia it was. I want to say it was like South Georgia. Was it South Georgia? Dang it, I can't remember because Vic Mignogna was there, and the guy who in my little group at the time, he went there and he actually got a signed picture of Vic Mignogna as Captain Kirk for me. I just can't. I know it was in Georgia. I want to say South Georgia, but I know it wasn't a studio. It was somewhere. I can't remember. I'll look it up after this and see if I can find it.
Uh, it says it's located at the. Hold on, hold on. It's cut off some information. T- well, there's a website, but uh, all right. I think I found some information on it. I'm just double checking the site. It's in Kingsland, Georgia.
That's it right there, Kingsland, Georgia, which is in South, I think South Georgia somewhere. That'd be a little weekend. Let's see, Kingsland, Georgia for you is probably, I'd say, a 6-7 hour drive, maybe, all parking.
Maybe around a 12-hour trip for myself, but I think it'd be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, well, and the thing is, you could. Well, I don't know if you could get. I don't know if you can do any filming in there, but if you could, you could do a fun video of, or even get photos, even do a compilation of photos, even of it, for your channel.
I mean, I probably would take more still pictures and video.
Yeah, yeah, I'll get up there one day.
And welcome, Anonymous. Good to see you, brother. Anonymous. Do 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 do.
I love the look of that ship. It's just got that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's
It's
beautiful.
got that late 23rd century look.
Yep. A very underappreciated time for ship designs. The kit bashed fan designs are
Mm-hmm.
so gorgeous if they're rendered right. They're so gorgeous from that era.
I mean, even when people complain about the motion picture, one of the best scenes is seeing the refit Enterprise.
Oh yeah. I mean, look. What was it? Picard's son in season 3 when he sees the Connie that when Seven and
Mm-hmm.
Nine showing, and he's just like those clean lines, that classic look. Yep, definitely a Constitution fan. I'm thinking this man's got taste. I like him.
Mm-hmm. And this is what I like about this scene. Jordy's telling Scotty that some of the technology is still the same.
Yep.
Me. And that's a good lesson.
Yep.
You always know there's something wrong when you don't get that full chirp from the comm badge.
Yep. And the thing I love about this era, it's still got the movie. The ship is still movie era, but
Mm-hmm.
they've already advanced into the flat panel consoles. It's that perfect bridge of, they moved into the flat console, so you don't have the buttons and switches, but it's still classic look. It's just like the perfect
Exactly.
balance of the two.
A good bridge.
Yep.
And DJ. check your Discord messages. I sent you a message a few days ago regarding the next episode of The Adventure Continues. Anonymous already knows about it. See, and this is where two tinkers get together and they come up with a solution.
Yep.
Yeah. It could be the week after next. Because next week is a member stream. Yeah, but there is a book out there that's supposed to be a sequel to this episode, Anonymous. But I know what you mean. You wanted to get it in this episode or a follow up episode. Awesome, brother.
I
But see, Scotty's adding a little extra safety guidelines for others to follow, even though you know you don't really have to follow them.
I know, right? You're always a wee bit conservative. Yeah, just the scenes with the two of them on the Janolan is it's awesome because you're seeing that you're seeing Scotty's actually a wealth of knowledge, and LaForge is
Hmm.
developing a much greater appreciation for Scotty. He might be 75 years in the past in terms of his experiences, but that doesn't mean his knowledge is still not sharp.
Yeah, and that's what this episode is showing. That
Yep,
even though Scotty comes from a different time, lived a different time, he still has knowledge that's valuable and useful.
yep.
And you
That
should
even
never dismiss anybody who's older than you trying to pass on knowledge
Yep.
and experience. Mm-hmm. The gears are turning.
Yeah.
Scotty's giving it out. He's got cutting.
I
1.21 gigawatts.
know, right? I spent my whole life doing crazy things.
Well, he did. I mean, how many times did we see him in the original series come up with a solution?
Oh, all the time, all the time. I mean, and you really even saw that in Star Trek Four: Voyage Home. Even you had a
Heck,
view of that
even
too.
Star Trek Five, he still managed to get the transporters working to beam up McCoy and Spock.
Yep, that's true.
And he was part of the away team that went over to the Constellation with Kirk after it was attacked by the Doomsday Machine.
That's right. Yeah, and he was able to get. I'm trying to think, what other episodes was there? There's a dang, there's a lot of them.
I know that's an episode Baron wants to talk about. He's already mentioned it on Pop Talk. That's why I'm mentioning it here.
Hmm. It's the little ship that could.
Mm-hmm. No, I do like the exterior shot that comes up as the Enterprise is approaching the door.
Yep.
It shows that Starfleet officers have to be able to navigate even a ship the size of a Galaxy class.
Yep.
And I love that they actually show her tapping her fingers on the console as quickly to get the thrusters to maneuver just right, change the pitch and
Yep.
yaw. And
I mean, the funny thing is that in season three of Picard, yeah, it did have its Millennium Falcon moment at the final episode, but we just saw that the ship literally could easily maneuver and fit into tight spaces like that in this right
Mhm.
here. So it is theoretically possible a skilled helmsman could could pull off something like that theoretically.
Yep. And Anonymous is asking, how did they transport him with the shields up? Here's what I'm thinking, Anonymous. The transporter chief found a hole in the shields and used that hole to beam them through.
Yeah, because remember, their shields were on the verge of collapse, which means that there was probably a gap in the shield somewhere.
And even DJ Ronnie G Brain said, and also timing.
Yeah.
Perfect line. Tommy and the guinea pig? He was. Now, I do have something to show everybody after the episode ends here. You think that's the only scene that has Scotty Indiana? Not so fast. And hello to Lady Mist.
Enterprise is in good hands.
I'm sorry you missed it, Lady Mist. But I know everybody's busy, so I'm just glad that you're here.
That shuttlecraft's a bit roomy there. Jeez.
Yeah. I bet I bet it has a pull-out bed, and I'm only half joking there.
No,
And
no. I mean, I'm not doubting you.
yeah. And as I said, I do have a deleted scene I want to show that's related to tonight's episode. But the way I'm going to show it is I'm going to show how it would have looked. So let me just share it over here on the Cosme side. Because I don't know if you're aware of this deleted scene, Patriot. I know some are, some aren't. But let me bring that to full screen, and here we go. I'll put the captions on for it too.
Hmm. I have like a loading thing going right now for me.
It's been doing that a lot lately. I'll look at it after the stream and see what's going on. I'm surprised for the DVD and Blu-ray sets they haven't taken some of the deleted scenes and restored them to where they should be in the episode to
I mean,
give the
that would be
fans a
nice.
special
Yeah,
edition.
that would certainly be nice for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that too with a few things that I use Google to log into. It's been having a lot of trouble lately. I don't know if it's because of Google and the other company or what's going on. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it there. And but
Yeah, I
yeah,
feel like close it
that
out because it's
I know Cuspy's being a pain tonight. It's but yeah, that's the deleted scene that they took out because of time, and that's why I say I would really like it, although I know it's not going to happen. If they would take some of the deleted scenes from the different series and
yeah. I mean, you know, I well, because remember for DS9 they were wanting to remaster the whole thing in 1080p.
yeah, there's a company that was willing to do it, but Paramount was being stubborn about it.
Yep. And we only have one scene. It's from I'm trying to remember. It's something
Sacrifice
angels.
Sacrifice of Angels is the
Thank
episode
you.
it's from.
Yeah, yeah. It's that one little scene. Now it's like maybe a minute and a half long. And it looks beautiful. And I'm just like, see, Paramount is Paramount could literally just be printing money, quite
Mm-hmm.
literally, if it just made the proper investments.
Made the proper investments, give us not only Deep Space Nine in HD, but in widescreen because that's how it was originally shot. If you've seen the What We Left Behind documentary, it shows that it was originally shot in widescreen.
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's the thing is that imagine if we got Next Generation, DS9, and Voyager remastered for 1080p. Like, imagine imagine the episodes with like the Krenim time ship and all that, or Species 8472 and all that with the Borg. You know, there's various points or when they're even going when they're going slipstream. Like
Mm-hmm.
just remastering it for 1080p. All you're doing is just updating the effects and the footage and everything up to 1080p. You are literally not changing anything else. Like, oh, it would look so much more beautiful, you
And
know.
Paramount's excuse was, well, it'd be too much time, too much work. Yet that company's, it can be done. Because one of the other things Paramount was complaining about was the digital effects that were later used in Voyager and Deep Space Nine. And again, that
Yep,
same company that you see that scene from Sacrifice of Angels
yep,
proved it can be done.
yep, yeah. And this is the sad thing about Trek, and this is and for everyone listening, just keep this in mind. If any of you have watched Trek since I'll even it's about 2000, okay? Because you really didn't start getting reruns because you had like the Voyager was ending, Enterprise was beginning. You were
Mm-hmm.
having your reruns starting to air of Next Generation and DS9. You already had original series reruns. So like if you're a millennial especially, Gen X, but even more so millennial, as a millennial, from childhood up, you really got to experience a lot of Trek. You had Generations, First Contact, Insurrection, Nemesis for movies. You had um, Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise. You had all that for Trek. Like we could talk about Star
Well,
Wars all we want, but that was the what 2 decades of Trek that we got, and it was beautiful.
yeah, because again, like you're saying, we had the series, we had the movies, we had the books, we had comics, we had video games.
Hmm.
Not just on PC, but on the NES, the Super NES, the Genesis.
Yep. And now it's like you have Discovery, which is a long time joke. Brave New Worlds, which I've heard some people like it, but I'm sorry, it uh uh it just doesn't make sense when I've seen clips. I'm like, this makes zero sense. Then you have Lower Decks, which is basically kind of like a Futurama kind of version of Star Trek. Prodigy, which I don't know anything about Prodigy. I really don't. I just know that it's an
I
animated
don't have
thing.
any interest in watching Prodigy, to tell you the
Yeah,
truth.
yeah. And the thing is, they're not going to come out with any more. Because remember, there's that section 31. Is it series or movie that's
It
coming
was
out
a
on
movie.
Paramount?
It was a movie, and the trailer for it was awful. And it's already on Blu-ray to buy if people want to buy it.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. I
Oh
am
my
not kidding you. I was in
gosh.
my
I
local
actually
Walmart,
saw the
and
trailer. I'm like, what the heck is this?
we lampooned it here on Pop Talk here on the
Oh,
channel,
oh,
and
jeez.
I was going, what the? I'm not gonna say it here because I try to keep this different from Pop Talk, but I was going, what the heck is that?
Yep.
And, and it was like, hey, you remember Jordy was blind? He had the ocular implants. Well, this guy's blind and he's got the same implants.
I mean, the funny thing is, you're in the 31st century. Why not? I mean, why couldn't you literally just regrow new eyes? Literally. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was high tech for Jordy to have those ocular implants. That was like state of the art. So it's
Yeah,
like, what?
and the reason they came about with that idea was because LeVar Burton was tired of wearing a visor.
Yep. So I mean, that's that's the thing with Trek is that we'll never like. I would have loved for like and I think Pacific. You and I were talking about this when season 3 of Picard came out, and you see the Borg show up, and you and I were talking about like how awesome would it have been if you saw Admiral Janeway
Mm-hmm.
in in Voyager, and there's Chakotay and Tom Paris and Harry Kim, like operating the ship with her, and then you see the Defiant warp in, and you see Benjamin Sisko and whichever version of Dax is there. You
Mm-hmm.
see, well, you could do Nog, but well, I mean, you could kind of do Nog. You could CG a Nog. Maybe you could do that. I don't know. But you could have like a couple of different people from DS9 on board the Defiant. And these are all three captains that face the Borg. So this is kind of like
Mm-hmm.
retribution. It's like we've all fought the Borg at one phase or another. This is it. This is the final stand. How awesome would that have been? The Enterprise is like, holy crap. And they're like, Captain, we're detecting two more ships. What? And all of a sudden, Voyager
Well,
warps in.
one thing that Barron's always had a grudge against is, and I don't blame him. So Baron, if you're hearing this, I don't blame you because I completely agree with you. When they go to the Fleet Museum and you see Voyager there, you see the Defiant there.
Hmm.
Barron's always said, why didn't they just take the Defiant? That ship was specifically designed to fight the Borg.
And it was still old enough to where it didn't have the fleet the fleet technology in it.
Mm-hmm. Same with Voyager.
Right, but it was next generation crew, so I mean
Mm-hmm.
they had to
Yeah.
go with you know they had to go with the class. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Seeing a Galaxy class opening up, flying out of leaving space dock, there was a bit of sentimentality going on within you where you're like, this is beautiful. This is just, mwah, this is beautiful. There was a part of you that was saying that.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't have a little bit of a smile on my face when you see the Enterprise D crew walking on the bridge,
Hmm.
and then it starts lighting up, and then I start seeing things that I'm going, no, no, that's not right. The lighting's over there isn't right. This isn't right. That isn't right. The fan of me comes out, starts nitpicking.
Yep, yep. And 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 again, like having those other two captains in their ships, those are captains that Picard interacted with also. Remember, in Nemesis, Janeway.
Yeah, Admiral Janeway.
And then the first episode of DS9
Deep Space Nine, yeah, the
was
emissary.
Cisco and Picard. So it's like,
Have we met before, Commander?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and bring up that scene. Just give me a second. Give me a second. I'll bring up that scene so people have a frame of reference. This is the scene I'm talking about. And we will get to this episode. Yeah, the reaction from Picard, like, oh my.
Picard very cleverly shifting focus back.
Mm-hmm. Would this be an episode you'd like to come back for? It'd be under the 2 hour, episode, 2 hour movie, 2 hour episode where
Normally,
it would be
I can go for however long. It's just because of my voice. Like, I'm a bottle of half of water in already to try to get up with the throat.
Because I'd like to have you back to watch and discuss Emissary with you and a few other people.
Yeah, of course. I mean, assuming I'm available.
Yeah,
yes,
true.
Yeah, assuming I'm available. So
I would try to coordinate it so you could be here.
Right.
We would try to work it out.
Yeah, I mean, worst case, I can't make it, obviously, but I would like to be there if possible. So.
And you know what's going through Cisco's head? It's like, I don't care what you have to say, Captain.
Yeah.
You're the reason I lost my wife.
Yep.
Very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Avery Brooks he had presence as a captain.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, and this is something that even Razor Fist talks about. Like when you see Cisco in a scene, he carries like a aura, like a presence. And I'm like, and I never thought of that before. And so I watched a few episodes. I'm like, holy crap, he's right. There's like a presence that he dominates. Even when Worf is in the scenes, he just kind of dominates that scene in a good way. In a good way.
Well, I mean, when Worf comes on to Deep Space Nine in Way of the Warrior and he enters Cisco's office, and Cisco has to tell him, "At ease, Mr. Worf."
Yeah.
And I do want to say hello to Dances with Owls. Good to see you tonight. He says, hey guys, it's not Sunday. How's everyone been? Oh, it's going good. It's going good. We just finished watching the episode Relics with my special guest here, the Smoking Patriot, and we showed a deleted scene from Relics that was unfortunately cut. And we've also looked at a couple other clips. And it's also nice to see Low Spec Linux Gaming. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well tonight. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. Appreciate you all being here. But having watched Relics again, and I don't know how long it was for you since you've last watched Relics, but what was going through your head as you're watching it again?
So it's nostalgia. I mean, because seeing Scotty, because I grew up with Scotty. Like I grew up watching the original series. I grew up watching um the movies. The motion picture era movies. I mean, that episode carries a very special place for me because when we see Spock, he's a diplomat. When we see McCoy, it's very brief. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
he's not there long. When we see Sarah, he's not there for very long. This is a whole episode of Scotty being Scotty. He's not a diplomat. He's not, I mean, LaForge even points out, look, you're the captain, and he's like, look, I might be captain by rank, but I'm just an engineer at my core. I might hold the rank of captain, but that doesn't mean anything to me. It's just a rank. I'm
Mm-hmm.
an engineer at heart. You
Yeah.
know. Um,
His place was making sure the ship was running.
yep, yep. And just seeing him in a one last hurrah,
Mm-hmm.
just seeing him in his engineering prowess again. It's just beautiful to watch because remember we have very few left of the original cast.
Yeah, we only have
Very few.
Shatner, we have Takai, and Kenny.
Did oh God, I'm going blank on Coing. Did he passed too?
No, we only have Kenny, Takai, and Shatner. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
We only have those three left.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think honestly. I mean, unfortunately, George Takei has soured a lot of Star Trek fans over the past like 10, 15 years. So I think if he went, a lot of people would be like, "Yeah, Sulu's dead, but the actor was such a jerk. Like, we don't mind. We don't mind." I mean, but when Shatner, I mean, by the way, here, hold on a second. How old is Shatner? He's like 95, like 90, 95 or something
Uh,
like that.
I
He's in his 90s, I know.
I want to say 94, 95, but let me double check.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he's still energetic for his age.
Oh, I follow him on Twitter. This man slings the crap. It's like you want to come at him, he slings the crap right back at you like a freaking high schooler.
Yeah, he's 94.
94?
Yeah.
Okay. And then look up photos of William Shatner. That man does not look 94. You'd swear he was only in his like maybe 60s, maybe even 70s at most. He is just
He acts like he's in his 60s.
yeah, I mean, I can't believe it when I look at the age and I look at him. Now maybe he did have some work done, but even plastic surgery doesn't hold up well with age. He
No.
still looks amazing for 94 years old.
And
He's
some people have been asking the current regime of Star Trek, bring Shatner back for one last run as Captain Kirk.
which I think he did say he would be open to if the script was good
Mm-hmm.
and he agreed. He did say I think he
That
even posted this on Twitter even that yes, if I agree to everything and I like what I see and what I read, I will gladly reprise Captain Kirk one last time.
Yeah, they wanted to bring him back for Enterprise, but they couldn't come to terms on a contract.
Yeah, yeah. I think if they were to bring him back, it would have to be for Brave New World. It would have to be for that show because it's the original Connie. You could have it where Kirk, he's older, he's on the holodeck and whatnot. Like you could kind of do it how they did it with the final episode of Enterprise, something similar. But that's the only way
Well,
I could see him doing it.
if you're gonna tie it into New Trek, think about Picard season 3 where they're at Daystrom and you see that Kirk is there.
That's true. But the problem is they're not doing any more Picards.
I know they're not doing any more Picards, but you could have a scene where it jumps ahead in time and we see William Shatner one last time as Captain Kirk.
That yeah, I'd love to know how they would do it if they did do it. I'd love to know
It
how.
would have to be done right. It would have to be done with
It would have to be
respect.
done perfectly. You can't mess it up. This is literally the last hurrah of Captain Kirk.
Hmm. And you can't just have him show up for a brief few seconds.
Oh
He'd
no,
have to be there,
he's got
actually
to be
be
the
there,
star of the episode.
and at the end, it's basically has to say thank you to the original series. Without the
Yeah,
original series, we're not even talking about tonight's episode Relics.
yeah, yeah. They would have to do it right, and they can't kill him off.
No,
They
no,
can't.
they can't go the generations route. I think they could have found a way to have Kirk exist in the 24th century.
Well, I mean, they easily could have. I mean, let's just be real because Kirk was okay, he fell, okay. Maybe he had some internal bleeding, okay. You're telling me that there's no way that Picard could have possibly helped keep him alive in any way, shape, or form until because remember there were three Federation starships there, so you're telling me that
Hmm.
they couldn't beam Kirk out of there and into the med bay for like emergency surgery? I mean, I'm sorry, like
Yeah, because remember, after we see, and yeah, this is a spoiler for a movie that's 31 years old. Well, it will be this November. But after Kirk is buried by Picard under rocks with Kirk's Starfleet badge as the final memento, we see Picard on the cliff and we see the shuttlecraft fly by. You can't tell me that with 24th century technology, they can't at least try to bring back the greatest captain of all time.
yeah, it was it was so stupid. Although, did you see so Pacific? I don't know if you saw it. Did you see that one AI short movie that somebody did where it's Kirk and then
Yeah.
he finds him.
Yep.
Yep,
I know which one you're talking about
where
because.
he reunites with Spock on
Hmm.
well, it would be New Vulcan, but still he reunites with Spock for like one last moment, like seeing each other before he dies.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
not gonna lie, like
And it has Robin Curtis return as Savick.
yep, yep. I'm not gonna lie, I shed a few tears. That and I wasn't even planning to. I was watching. I'm like, this is nice. It's sentimental, and just seeing that moment when they look in each other's eyes, and you can just tell, like it's unspoken, but you just as they're staring into each other's eyes, and then Kirk just smiles and whatnot, like he grins and whatnot, and they kind of look out over the sun, like the sun setting. I started crying. I started crying, and I'm not a crier. I started crying. I didn't even know why. It was just it hit that was
And
something we were robbed
I
of.
I think I know why. You just mentioned. We were robbed of a final moment between Kirk and Spock. Some might even say, but we had that final moment in the undiscovered country. But one final. This is a definitive goodbye. You know, the greatest captain in Star Trek history and the greatest first officer, greatest science officer in Star Trek history, seeing them
Hmm.
on screen one last time. I mean, you and I have talked about it on Pop Talk, where we would have liked to have seen Kirk take command of the Enterprise D in Generations.
Oh, that would have been amazing. It would have been amazing. In fact, I just thought of this. It would have been amazing if you had. This is how you could have done this in Generations. Your final goodbye, because Spock, if you go by the Star Trek timeline, Spock was alive. You could have brought in Spock because he finds out, wait, Kirk's alive? So the movie ends not with the ships jumping to warp. Like the ships jump to warp, and then you see in 10 forward, you see um, you see Picard walking in one side, and then you see
on the
Spock
one side of
on the
10
other,
forward. Yep. And then
and
the
then
other door's open.
yep, and then the other door opens, and then they both look towards the other door, and there you see Kirk. Maybe his shirt's still torn up, but he's healthy. You can tell maybe he's a little even wounded still, but he walks in there, and then Spock just has this look on his face of like again, not saying anything, of just
Mm-hmm.
you're alive. You're alive.
I mean, you could have had McCoy in the
You
in
could
that
have,
scene.
yeah, but
Yeah, he would have been in the older McCoy that we saw in Encounter at Farpoint. And I think it would have been great to have McCoy see Kirk and go, "Damn it, man, you're alive."
oh yeah. Well, and then remember Scott, and then you bring in Duhan, because remember in
Mm-hmm. Right.
Generations in the beginning he was on the Enterprise B along with Chekhov when they thought Kirk died.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine like you see Kirk there, and all of a sudden you see old Chekhov and old Scotty, and they come in, and they're just kind of like, "You're alive, you're alive," and again, nothing is said. It's just kind of like looks around, smiles,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little chuckling, But you have to, the way you do the Spock and Kirk. This is how you have to do it, though. They look at each other, and then they just hug, and then this is all you hear Spock say: "I will always and shall forever be your friend." That's
Yeah,
all that's said. That is all
someone
that
could
is
say,
said.
"Oh, that's complete fan service," but isn't that what we were hoping for Generations, bringing two different generations together? Two different Enterprise crews together. I mean, that's what they originally wanted to do, but unfortunately, Nimoy doesn't agree to a contract. DeForest Kelly, he's not feeling well anymore, so he unfortunately declines. And
Yeah,
Nichelle Nichols didn't want to do it. George Takei didn't want to do it.
yeah. I mean, it's sad because we could have had that Picard moment on the Enterprise D. We could have had that at least with the original series crew. We could have had
Mm-hmm.
it. Now I get it, contractual stuff, all this, whatever. But I guarantee you, if they had tossed enough money at these people, they probably would have said yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And obviously, hindsight's 2020, because when they did Generations, this was not the concept of this stuff never existed in their heads. It's only now that we're like, we wish they would have done this like 30 years ago,
It's like even Barron and I have discussed about the Enterprise D being destroyed, and just how beautiful that model looks on the big screen. When you see it on the big screen in
It does,
Generation,
yeah.
especially when it's warping away, it looks beautiful.
Yep.
But their excuse was, "Oh, it's too big, and it's not appropriate for a movie." I'm thinking, huh? What? Wait a minute. This is ILM. They built big models before for movies,
Uh
and they're
huh.
saying that this model built for television isn't suited for the movie theater, when we already saw that it was. The new shots that they put in, along with some of the exterior shots from the series,
Yep.
it looked beautiful.
Well, somebody did the opening scene in First Contact when you see the Enterprise E. It's going along in space, and it slowly
Yeah,
banks back
yes,
towards.
I've seen where someone's done it with the Enterprise D.
Yep. Yep. And do you know what? It still looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get for Insurrection, because that takes place during the Dominion War. I get for Insurrection if you have the Enterprise E. I get that.
Yeah,
But
you want a ship that has a little bit more teeth.
Yeah, you want to shove those more teeth, but for this, you should have had the D, especially because it's a movie about the Borg. It's kind of like, the Enterprise D going up against its greatest adversary one last time.
Hmm.
We shouldn't have had that in season three of Picard. We should have had that in First Contact, really.
I see where you're going with it, and really the only kind of nod we get to the Enterprise D in any of the other movies after Generations is in First Contact when Lily's telling Picard, blow up the damn ship. And Picard's going, no, no, no. And then he shatters the glass with all the models inside
Hmm.
with the phaser rifle. And you see that slow shot of the Enterprise D model.
Yeah,
And then that leads to Picard saying, they invade our space. We fall back. They assimilate entire worlds, and we fall back. The line must be drawn here, this far, no farther.
yeah.
And I will make them pay for what they've done.
Yeah, I mean, they do. I don't understand how these studios justified some of their decisions because knowing what we know now with these movies already in existence and with people having the talent to be able to recreate them the way we wish they would have been,
Mm-hmm.
they are. It just kind of goes to show that whomever is in charge of studios is really a freaking idiot. Like um somebody, I mean, somebody even did like Star Wars in The Force Awakens, the attack on, the planet. Like someone did it like if the resistance wasn't stupid. That's how they titled the video. And like they do the whole, and they use cuts of the actual movie, but it makes sense. And you're like, who is in the script writing and the storyboard thinking this stuff is a great idea? Hey, yeah. Was there going to be a new Enterprise? We knew at some point there was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It came too soon.
There's plenty of letters in the alphabet. Picard says that
Yep,
in First Contact.
yep, yep. And I'm actually still upset we never truly got any good screen time with the Enterprise B and the Enterprise C. We got the B in beginning of Generations, and we got the C in yesterday's Enterprise. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking like good proper. I'm talking a series or a movie of the
Where
ship
you
truly in its
see the inner
moment.
workings of the B, you see the inner workings of the C. Because let's face it, we didn't see much of the Ambassador class.
Actually, I think in yesterday's Enterprise, that's the only time you actually see the Ambassador class.
Actually, one other time you see the Ambassador class is in Emissary at the Battle of Wolf 359.
Oh, you do? Oh, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, I was trying to replay all the moments where I remember ships being in Next Generation. No, I think you're right. Yeah, but I mean, even then, we didn't really get a full. Um,
No, we only got a shot of the bridge,
yep,
and that was it for the Enterprise C.
yeah, yeah, and this is the sad part about Trek is because they call it, what do they call it, the lost generation, I think is what they call that timeline. Basically, after Undiscovered Country, so it goes from Undiscovered Country to Generations, or well, Next Generation, but they call it, I think it's called like the Lost Generation, right? Basically, the time covered during the Enterprise B and C, all that time,
Mm-hmm.
we got nothing, literally nothing. I mean, the fan stories for that time period in Trek history, they're really good. There's some really good ones out there,
Yeah,
and
because there are fans out there who care about Star Trek, will respect what's canon, what's supposed to come, what's already come,
hmm
and they'll try to write a story that fits within that period of time, that untold period of time.
yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just sad because we got great Trek, and
Hmm.
then we had Next Generation, great Trek, but they always seem to leave out some key areas. Like we had the Lost Generation, we never got anything with that. And then if you think about it, in regards to movies, we really kind of needed something post Nemesis because Riker was getting a new ship.
Hmm.
Data was kind of being reborn to a degree because B4, remember they said that his processors weren't as advanced, so all of Data's knowledge and everything about him would take longer for it to manifest itself in B4. Um, so if you look at
And we see an
Nemesis,
example of that near the end of Nemesis, where
yep,
before starts saying blue skies, but only a few lyrics.
hmm yeah, I mean, so we kind of I mean, I get where they went with Nemesis. You know, Riker gets his own ship, Data's a new thing. Like, I kind of get that, but I feel like Nemesis didn't have to end that way. You still could have done one more movie. But let's also not forget the tumultuous time that was going behind the scenes with, you know, oh, what's his face? The head
You
of.
had Rick Berman, who
No, no, no,
was
no. I'm talking the
the head
executive
of
guy.
Star Trek, but you had Les Moonves, who didn't like
Moonves,
Star
yeah. There
Trek,
we go. Yeah.
and he was looking for any way to cancel Star Trek. I mean, we're lucky we even got a fourth season of Enterprise.
But even then, even in that fourth season, we were heavily robbed because
Hmm.
they completely bypassed the entire Romulan War. The entire Romulan War, they totally bypassed it.
Yeah,
All we have,
when you talk about these are the voyages, the final episode, we
yep,
don't know what happened in that 10-year period.
yep, and we do know that the Romulan War happened, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, because of the way Moonves decided to end Enterprise. I mean, let's just be real. You could have gone on 7 seasons, so four could have ended with like the Romulans starting to make their moves. Not they
Hmm.
haven't declared war yet, but they're starting to truly make their moves in the open. No more secrecy. And then you have seasons 5 and 6. They're just dedicated to the Romulan War, and then 7 is the Romulan War in its conclusion, the aftermath of the Romulan War, and the beginning of the Federation. That's how season
Hmm.
7. So you really could have gone on 3 more seasons, and we never got anything. I mean, and just think from a ship design perspective. You're telling me that Rick Sternbach and them all. You're telling me those guys would not have had a field day coming up with new designs to
Well,
showcase.
have you seen the design of NX-01 with a secondary hull?
Oh, I have a Star Trek calendar that my family got me for Christmas, and May's was it May? It was either April or May's was the NX-01 Enterprise with the secondary hull, so it was a complete refit, and then the NX-02 Columbia, and there were three Romulan birds of prey, kind of like doing a flyby in it. I mean that NX-01 refit is just so gorgeous.
Hmm.
It
And they were
really
supposedly going to introduce that if there was a fifth season, Jeffrey
Yep,
Combs was going to join the cast as Shran.
yep, yep. And we could have gotten the Daedalus class. You could have made that official. Um, there's even, I mean, again, there's fan lore about the Romulan War that people have done. Like, I'm not just talking like where it's like audiobook. I'm talking like full on space battles, like during the Romulan War and various iterations. There was even a YouTube channel that was trying to create like a web miniseries about the Romulan War. Like they had
Hmm.
actors portraying various roles and everything, and they came out with their first part, and it was amazing, but nothing. It went dead. I don't know if it was because of copyright stuff or they couldn't get the money. I don't know what the reasoning
Well, I
was.
mean, it was copyright stuff that unfortunately ended Axanar.
Which we're still waiting on that third, because remember they released. like the one part, um, what was it, 2 or 3? It was like 3 years ago. I still follow Axanar on YouTube, and they're still doing updates, Axanar updates, and it's like you haven't literally released anything for like 3 years. Literally nothing for like 3 years. Like uh, honestly, I think Axanar is just a scam personally because it's like you've had all these years and
Mm-hmm.
you filmed stuff. I mean, he has footage of them filming stuff and everything, so it's like we know footage exists. Why hasn't anything been released? It's 3 years. You're talking a Hollywood movie could be done in the same amount of time, and you have a lot less to work with in terms of a time frame, like to actually do. So it shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be. Like I, I just don't get stuff like that. I just don't. It just seems like a scam.
Yeah.
Like don't scam Star Trek fans because we're not a group you really want to piss off. There's enough of us out there that have had enough of being scammed by the big leagues. We don't need independent content creators scamming us too, because that's going to be the final. That's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. So, anyways, rant over.
Well, I'll just go ahead and play this clip. I think it's appropriate. This is Star Trek fans.
The Klingon Empire will remember what has happened here. You have sided against us in battle, and this we do not forgive or forget.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't forget our canon. We don't forget our lore.
Yeah.
We don't forget what happened in one episode to another episode.
I mean, if anything, if listening to this, if listening to this stream, if anything, listening to, Pacific and I, we're just talking about all sorts of Trek stuff. This is stuff that we've accrued knowledge on over decades. I mean, I'm a ship guy, so I love ships. So, like, I'm a hardcore ship addict. Um, and but I love the great stories too. And again, God, all thanks to Pacific for having me on tonight to talk about Relics because it's that show hits so many great things. We get TMP era ship design. We get we get one of our tried and true favorite engineers of all time. We get you get a little bit of everything in the episode, and it's classic. It's heartfelt. It ends perfectly. You know,
It's true Star Trek.
It really is. And the thing with Star Trek, and it was funny. I heard Brent Spiner say this. It was it was on a reel I watched a couple days ago. He said the comparison between Star Wars and Star Trek is two entirely different things. Star Wars is a simple story of good versus evil. At the end of the day, it's a space opera, good versus evil in space. That's all that is. Star Trek is about society and culture and fitting that into a futuristic time where life lessons are valued and they're taught. And so he's like, it's two entirely different franchises.
Mm-hmm.
People want to compare the two, but
Yeah,
they're
but you
entirely
can't. They're
different.
apples and oranges. Literally
Yeah,
apples and oranges.
yeah. So, I mean, that's at the end of the day, Trek is something that it didn't matter. And I've told Pacific this before. Back in the day, before we were all so heavily polarized, it didn't matter if you were gay. It didn't matter if you were straight. It didn't matter if you were black or white or Latino. It didn't matter if you were a woman or it didn't matter if you were a man. It was, do you like Star Trek? Yes. Okay, we can be friends. And then you
Mm-hmm.
break it down into the minutiae. Okay, are you Romulan? Are you Klingon? Are you Federation? Are you Breen? Are you Dominion? Well, depending on which series you're talking about. But let's
Yep.
just take a TNG. It'd be, are you Romulan? Are you Klingon? Are you Federation? And you get the people that love the Romulans, those that love the Klingons, and those that love the Federation. And of course, you'd have your little bickerings and whatnot, but it was all friendly. It's not like how it is
It
today.
was. I mean, well, 30 years ago, Chaos and I are in high school. And this is, of course, before the year goes out, but we're introduced to each other by a mutual friend. As soon as we found out that, hey, you like Star Trek? You like Star Trek? We started talking about different episodes, started coming up with ideas for stories, showing one another our ship designs. Basically, we were geeking out because we loved it. Again, like you mentioned earlier, we were spoiled with all the Star Trek that we got back in the 90s. And the fact that you can meet people at your school, guys, girls who were into Star Trek. There was a girl I was friends with in high school, and she got into Star Trek, and I actually brought one of my books that I had. I said, read this. I think you'll enjoy it. And she did.
Yep. Yep. I remember high school. It was the youth group at my church. For Halloween they had a costume competition. So I'm trying to think, well, who can I go dressed as? And so I'm thinking a young William Riker. And at the time,
Mm-hmm.
I had a shirt that was the top half was red, the bottom half was black. So my mom took cardboard and aluminum foil and fashioned a Federation insignia comm badge. And I wore a like black pants, black shoes, and then I had an Enterprise D model, but the one of the nacelles kept it never wanted to stay on, but
Mm-hmm.
if you held it the right way, it kind of looked like a phaser. So I took a multi-tool pouch, cut the flap off, so I have my holster. So I holstered my phaser, and I went as young William Riker for the Halloween competition at my church's youth group. I got third
Nice.
place. I didn't get any prize, but I got third place.
Hey, at least you got third place. I mean, the
To be
fact that
honest, first place shouldn't have gotten
you
first
both
place.
had ingenuity to come up with how you're going to make the costume, how you're going to make the comm badge, how you're going to make the phaser.
Yep,
That's what they're looking for.
yep,
What are you using to create this material? I mean, when Chaos and I met, he laughed at me because I was drawing the bridge of the starship I designed, and I used a Genesis controller for the view screen, but I wasn't looking at it as a Genesis controller. I'm thinking, how would this work on a Federation starship? Well, you look at the Enterprise D view screen and how it's straight at the bottom, and then it goes up, and then it has that curve. I'm thinking,
yep,
well, why can't this starship be a little similar as far as its view screen is concerned, but have some controls where the Genesis control goes down that are emergency controls in case something goes wrong?
yep, yep. I've even thought up of many of my own stories. One of them, a story I came up with in my head that I kept working and working over was it was so there's a ship called the Archer class, um, and it's a small little ship, only maybe a dozen people. It's basically kind of like the Federation equivalent to a Klingon bird of prey. Has two phaser banks, one torpedo launcher. That's it, and it's planet landing. So it's kind of like the Klingon bird of prey equivalent into the Federation, and it's only in original. So the only versions we ever see of it are the original series and the movie era. We don't see
Mm-hmm.
anything past it. And so I came up in my head, how would this look if they relaunched the Archer class around the time of the Dominion War? And I literally came up with roughly in my head, because I can't sketch to save my life. I came up with in my head how it would look and everything, and the adventures during the Dominion War, like they'd have to go on, and I came up with all this stuff, and I would do this many times over and over and over again with various things, and it was always fun to me because it's like new ideas. That's the thing about Trek. There's an infinite number of ideas that
Yeah,
you can
infinite
create.
number of ideas. It helps bring out your imagination because you look the ship designs that they have for the various series, the kit bashing that they did for
Yep.
the different ships, and you think, I wonder what I could come up with that will have, a Star Trek look.
Yep. Yep. And there's I hope you don't mind if I shout out this channel, Pacific, but
Go
this
ahead.
is a
Go
great
ahead.
channel for all Trek fans. I believe it's Triangulum Studio. I think that's the channel's name. He takes,
I'll look for him and see.
yeah, it's if it's the one I'm thinking of. And what he does is he takes computer models of various ships from all over the Trek timeline, from literally the founding of the Federation all the way up to like 27th century. So it's all over. But what he does, it's all beta canon, and he comes up with these stories about the ship. So the class of ship, what it did. He comes up with all these little stories for every ship, and some of these ships you'd recognize, like the Saladin class. If anybody knows classic Trek ship designs, the Saladin class you'd recognize. But then it's other kitbash ships, and it's creators like him that make me keep the love of Star Trek going. Because when Pacific and I are talking, we're talking about the love of it. And then there's creators out there that literally create the 3D models of these ships and create stories, like little documentary kind of stories about these ships.
I think I found it. Let me put it in the private chat, and you can tell me if this is the correct one before I share it with everybody.
I'm on my phone here, so I got to figure out how to get to the private chat. Wait, there we go.
All right, I'll just put it in the group chat.
Let me. Videos.
You're not wrong there,
That's
Cash. I
stuff.
mean, anybody can, dispute
Oh,
you on that, but if you haven't watched Star Trek Continues, that's the closest you get to a continuation of the original series.
yep. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay, yeah. For some reason, because I clicked on the link to make sure that was the right one, and it opened up the YouTube app on my phone. And okay, now the website just came back. No, that's them. Yeah, Triangulum Studios. I highly recommend you all check them out. The videos, and they're not long videos, anywhere from 5-10 minutes, depending on the ship he's talking about. But it's creators like that. So when you get creators like Pacific, Triangulum Studios, and there's several others out there, really support these content creators because Mike talks about the in-depth of episodes, all right, the minutiae, the philosophical and all that kind of stuff. And then for the ship stuff, you got your creators out there, and we're all part of the same fandom. We
Hmm.
all just cover our own unique area, the stuff we're good at. Like, I guarantee you, if I asked Mike to start talking about his 10 favorite ships, he'd probably be like, "Look, I can give you 5, 6, maybe, but I don't know the in-depth stuff. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Mike could surprise me. We never really got into the ship stuff ever. We always
No,
got into
no,
the
no, no.
minutiae of episodes.
We haven't got into that deep dive about the ships. I'll tell you, the number one is the refit Connie.
Oh, I mean, refit.
Nothing against classic Connie. Nothing against classic Connie.
No, but
But the
refit
refit.
Connie. Yep, yep, yep. Although, yeah, no, that is a number one favorite. I cannot
Yeah.
argue with this.
I mean, if you want to hear my list right now, off the top of my head, the
No,
refit Connie.
okay.
I like the Defiant, always have, when the ship
Oh,
was introduced.
yep.
Nice compact size. And then my third ship, the Akira class.
Ooh, good choice. Good choice.
Mhm. And then
Good.
I know what some people will say, because the Grissom was destroyed in Star Trek 3, but I've always liked the old Birth class.
Okay, that's out of left field for me.
I like it. I think it is the perfect size for a science ship.
No hate. I never hate on people's ship on their ship preferences. I never hate on them. So hey, you like the old birth, man. Go for it. No
Uh,
shame.
and then I do like the Constellation class.
Okay.
And one of the things I like about it is even though it doesn't really have your traditional secondary hull, I like the fact that it has 4 nacelles.
Yep. Yep. That's a good
And
one.
then,
Yep.
you know, the Galaxy class is on there, and the Steam Runner class, which was introduced in First Contact.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yep.
I like that design. I always have. And also, and yeah, it's a kit bash, but the New Orleans class. Here,
Oh, New Orleans. That's a good one, actually.
I'll bring it up. And
Yeah.
like I said, it's a kit bash.
Which, for those of you who are listening and don't know, for the Battle of Wolf 359, most of the ships that they showed, like as kind of like derelicts post battle, a lot of those ships were actually kit bash ships because they needed just random models of ships to put into that episode. So they kit bashed a lot of ships for that episode. And the New Orleans was one of them, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let me go ahead and bring it up here. And I'm putting it on screen right now. But that's the New Orleans class. And I've always liked the way it looks.
You can't hate on it. It's a nice little compact ship.
And you know what they originally used for the top impulse engines?
It
Highlighter
was
pens.
Yeah. What was it, highlighter or Sharpies?
Highlighter pens.
That's right. It was. I think yeah. It was either highlighter or Sharpie. I can't. I can never remember which one of them.
Again, this is a kit bash, so they take different ships because you can see, the saucer section of the Enterprise D. Well, they changed it. Same way they did it with the Nebula class, which is another favorite of mine.
Hmm.
And they took a little bit of the Ambassador class, added that on there, and then they're all okay. Well, what are the nacelles it's gonna look like, and what angle? Well, you're seeing it right there. The impulse drive. Although, even in this picture down here, they have it as phasers. I mean, I suppose just like the Nebula class, you can switch it up for whatever the mission parameters require.
Yeah. The beta canon lore on that basically has those as like interchangeable modules, essentially, kind of like how the Nebula was.
Hmm. And just like the runabouts, they had
Yep.
the extra sensor array
Yep.
that went on top. And Cash has a question. The rules of New Trek don't care about it much. Well, that's New Trek for you, Cash. They don't really care about the legacy of Star Trek, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this particular live stream is because I still care about the legacy of Star Trek. That of Gene Roddenberry and Rick Berman and everybody who worked on the show with those two men.
Hmm.
Star Trek is still important. You can still find good episodes to watch.
Oh yeah. I mean, I used to be anti getting Paramount Plus. I used to be anti that because I'm like, well, you're supporting the new Trek stuff. But the thing is that that's how you can watch all other previous Trek too.
Hmm. Yeah,
Original series, TNG, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise. You know, it's how you can watch it all.
it helps those who don't have each series on Blu-ray or DVD.
Yeah, that's true. It's just a cheaper option because let's just be real, to get good copies of all all of the original series, all of TNG, all of DS9, all of Voyager, all Enterprise, you better hit the freaking lottery to afford all that. Unless you're making like, 300,000 a year, and unless you make like a crap ton of money, you're gonna have to win the lottery to truly get all of those because that's not cheap. Some of that stuff. It's not as easy to find too, depending.
No, no. I mean, you look at some of the DVD sets. some of them are reasonably priced, and then some of them are overpriced.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you look at some of the older DVD sets before they repackage them and everything. And you're asking yourself, they want that much for that DVD set that's been out for years, and we're talking about 20 years or more.
Yeah. I mean, so I remember. So it's related. So just bear with me for a second. But
Okay,
do you remember Pacific Sequest DSV?
yeah, I watched it. I liked it.
So I actually own all three seasons.
Not bad.
It was not easy to find. I had to actually buy them off of eBay. I had to buy them each season at a time, and it cost me like $250. But that's the only way I
I,
could find
I
it.
I believe it because when I got the complete set of Deep Space Nine, it cost me almost $200 to get all 7 seasons.
Yeah, but remember with Sequest, there was only technically there was okay, three seasons, but really the third season was only like half a season.
Hmm.
So it's really only like 2.5 seasons. So it's like $80 a season.
But yeah,
So, but yeah, I would if, for all those listening, if you all do want to watch good Trek, get Paramount Plus. You know, they have other great shows on there too. But if you're for a Trek fan and you can't afford to buy every single season of Star Trek, just do Paramount Plus, do the cheapest option. You know, even if it does have ads, do the cheapest option. You know, because we gotta be able to appreciate what we had. And unfortunately, with streaming services the way they are, it's very hard for to find certain shows at times. So I'd recommend doing it. Or if you, by the way, I found this out. If you have a Walmart Plus subscription, Paramount Plus comes included in that. I did not know this originally.
oh, I didn't know that either.
Apparently, I will double check this, but I think Paramount Plus is included with Walmart Plus, but I will need to verify that. So take it with a grain of salt.
Okay,
So
and I know we've never officially seen it on screen. I'm trying to see if I can bring it up if somebody has an image of it. But Andrew Probert's original design for the Ambassador class.
oh, I know. I know what I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Trek Yards has even covered that too.
Hmm.
Years ago, they covered it. I think did they even have? I think they might have even had Andrew Probert on to talk about. I can't remember. That was
They did, and you see that original design
it was so
in the
beautiful.
observation lounge. Here, let me. Here's a good one. Let me put this on the screen and blow it up. But
I
see,
mean,
I like this version of the Ambassador class than the one we got.
I agree. I agree. It's a great bridge point between the movie era and next gen because it still had
Hmm.
you got the grills and everything reminiscent from an Excelsior. The bottom hull has that kind of Excelsior still like curvature to it, but but it's got more of a um, you see the going into the Galaxy class with the saucer section. It's just a beautiful looking ship, bridging the gap, if you will. It's a beautiful ship.
It really is. And so some might say, well, I don't consider those a starship, but honestly, they are independent for the most part. The runabouts. I've always liked the runabout design.
Yeah, the runabout. It's
Even though when Deep Space Nine came on, I said, "Oh, they just go around in these reeky deaky runabouts." But again, my viewpoint on them has changed.
yeah, yeah. I kind of feel like the runabouts. They The runabouts I feel like were misused in this show. They were treated more as like shuttlecraft than independent starships. Because and the in-universe lore is this: they are too big to be considered a shuttlecraft, but too small to be considered a true starship.
Yeah.
Like that's the in-universe lore, and I kind of felt like the runabout didn't get the love it should have been shown. I feel like the runabout should have gotten more loving. It really should have. But that's just me.
Yeah, and my last ship that I like is the Miranda class, and yes, it's heavily influenced by the Wrath of Khan. Seeing the Reliant.
Yeah, yeah, I can't argue with that one. It's a classic. It's a classic. Yeah, some good choices. I ain't gonna lie. Some good choices.
I mean, yeah, I understand why the Intrepid class had the nacelles go up because of that episode of Next Generation saying, warp drive was tearing apart subspace and polluting subspace. But honestly, when it comes to ships of the movie era, I do like the Miranda class.
Yeah, it just got that clean lines. It's the same reason you like the refit Connie. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same reason essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice that it's a versatile ship where you can put
Hmm.
different modules on it. I guess that's what I like about some of the ships too is they're not just for one single purpose. Depending on where the ship's headed, it can have a different module added to it to give it extra sensors.
Yep.
For example,
Yep. I mean, some, I ain't gonna lie. A lot of good ships in your list. A lot of good ones.
yeah. And Anonymous says the runabout was the equivalent of a Toyota Camry, and basic shuttlecraft was a Pinto. You wouldn't want to take a Pinto on a long trip. No, I'd rather take the runabout, the Camry.
Yeah.
I want to be
I mean,
comfortable.
he ain't wrong there.
Yeah.
He ain't wrong there. Ugh.
And, we mentioned it earlier. This is what NX-01 would have looked like if it had a secondary hull added to it. So yeah, but Patriot, I do appreciate you taking the time to be here with all of us tonight to talk about a great episode in Relics. Seeing Scotty come back again. James Doohan playing the role for you know not his last time, but close to his last time.
Well, I'm glad you had me. It was it was a genuine pleasure.
Yeah.
It was a genuine pleasure to watch a great episode with you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure people saw what NX-01 would have looked like, and this was one of their plans for season 5 to introduce Enterprise with a secondary hull, especially with the Romulans lurking around.
Yep.
But before we go here, brother, is there anyone you want to promote? Anything you want to promote for yourself? And
Um, I sorry. Um, um, I mean, I haven't been active on YouTube. I've been brainstorming how to kind of get the YouTube side jumping again. So my channel's kind of dead. It's dead from the aspect of it hasn't really been active. So I have ideas. I just haven't figured out the right way to implement them yet. So eventually, I'll get Smoking Patriot back kicking in full gear. Um, and then eventually, my other channel, Break Silence, I'll eventually get that one running too. That'll be basically for like culture and politics, everything non-nerd related. That'll be
Mhm.
for that. But so I'll eventually get the YouTube side going again. But what I'm trying to do is there's like one or two debate channels that I follow, and I'm trying to see influence the hosts to try and start getting sci-fi debates, like Star Trek, Star Wars, whatever. Like I'm trying to see if I can poke and prod, like see, hey, come on, let's get some, you talk about religion or politics or this or that. Let's get some sci-fi. Come on, a little sci-fi in there. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see if I'm successful. We'll see if I'm successful.
Well, you never know. He may even ask you to come on.
You never know. You never know.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, again, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your Saturday night to come on here. And, I know you're no stranger to coming on to the channel. You've been on Pop Talk multiple times. And I do have something I do want to ask you after we wrap up the show. And it's about something that you and I covered on Pop Talk.
Okay.
And I want to know if you want to be a part of it, since it is its anniversary this year. Big anniversary.
Oh, okay.
I'll give everybody a hint. 1.21 gigawatts. I know it's gigawatts,
Oh. Okay.
but
All
yes.
right.
Now, before we get out of here, I do want to thank everybody who was able to come in this Saturday night. I know it's Saturday night and everybody's busy, but I do appreciate everybody for taking the time to stop by, whether you stop by on YouTube, Rumble, X. I appreciate it. So I want to thank Lady Mist for coming on. And I'm sorry you weren't able to catch the episode, Lady Mist, and I'm sorry that Cosme was giving you a hard time. It's been doing that to other people too, so I will have to investigate either after this show or I'll do it before Pop Talk tomorrow to see exactly what's going on with that. But I also want to thank Dances with Owls for stopping by. Greatly appreciate it. Of course, DJ Ronnie G, thank you very much for stopping by. Cash Money of the Phantom Hooligans. Good to see you, Cash. Of course, Cash will be with me tomorrow as well as Baron once he's done doing his tasks for Sunday, and we will definitely have topics to talk about tomorrow, but I'll get into that later. Anonymous, thank you for being here, and it's great to see you and DJ. Anonymous was the third guest. Well, he was on the third episode, not the third guest. He was actually the second guest I had, but he was on the third episode, and DJ Ronnie G was the first. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here tonight. Let me just scroll up here, make sure I'm not missing anybody. I also want to thank Low Spec Linux Laptop for being here. As I scroll up, let me just see. Okay. All right. Scrolling. Keep them doggies scrolling. Rawhide. Tim, thank you for being here, brother. Really appreciate it. Yeah, the thing about EVMux Patriot is even if you highlight the star on your end, it doesn't put those highlighted folks into a separate area so you can quickly go back to them later on and do what I like to do, and that's to thank everybody for being here. So, thank you, everybody. I just want to make sure I have everybody over on the YouTube side. Didn't see anybody on the X side or Rumble side, but that's okay. You were all lurking. A lot of lurkers. And let me just double check. All right. But as far as what's coming up on the channel, because my internet is what it is right now with my service provider, where the download speed's fine. It's the upload speed that's causing the problem, so I can't stream any games. I can do panel shows like this, but I can't stream any games right now because the upload speed is so low. But there will be an additional Pop Talk tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. And of course, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern for Pop Talk, we'll be watching Blazing Saddles. And as far as any kind of gaming on the channel, what I'm going to do. And these might come out slowly, these might come out quickly. It just depends on what I have to do during my time and how much free time I have to do it. Is I'm going to upload some gameplay for Doom the Dark Ages so everybody gets to see other chapters, and that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it chapter by chapter. I'm not going to have anybody sit through a 6-hour video. No, nobody's going to want to do that. I know I did it for Alien Isolation for that last part of the game, but for Doom the Dark Ages, chapter by chapter, so I'm hoping to keep it at least an hour. It might go over an hour just by a little bit, but these will also be unedited. So basically, like I'm doing it live. Unfortunately, I won't be interacting with anybody in the chat in the video, but once it premieres, I will be there to sit there during that time and interact with anybody that comes by and watches the video, just to let them know what was going through my head at the time. But that's how the game streams are going to happen. I mean, yeah, I can't really call them game streams, or they're videos, but that's what's coming up on the channel. Of course, there will be episode 5 of The Adventure Continues coming up in a couple of weeks. And that, of course, will be on the 21st of this month. And the episode that we are going to be talking about, which DJ Ronnie G knows about, Anonymous knows about, Baron knows about, and I'm going to let you know about it too. Patriot, I understand that your time is precious. So I understand if you're not able to be here in person, but you'll be here in spirit. We'll be watching and discussing Encounter at Farpoint, Next Generation's pilot episode.
Good
Yes.
one. Good one.
Yeah. So again, everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support of Pacific 414. Give Smoking Patriot a sub. Please do. He works hard. And, when he gets the time to get the Patriot up and running again, you better believe you're going to get great content. He's a great guy. And until then, everybody, remember one thing on this channel. When I do play a game, don't ever give up on me in that game, because just when you do, you might miss something. And, of course, with tonight's show, and always for The Adventure Continues, live long and prosper.